a lot of the mom, because of the guilt, then there's always this sense of putting back onto yourself that I think there is something wrong with me. I wonder if I can say, can we come together as woman and mother and say that no, I don't think it's not always something wrong with me.
It's not that the kids are not lovable. Okay, kids, I love you. Yeah.
Good repair.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome back to yet another episode of Reality Bites. So, once I was talking to a child once, and then I asked the child, like, hey, what's your mom's name? Then the child can only tell me, oh, mommy. Then I was like, oh, it's so interesting because it's like, to a child, the identity of your mom is just your mom. I think that inspired this question. How do you think your sense of self has changed after becoming a mother?
Yeah, I mean, I guess before I was a mom, I thought I was going to be a certain type of mom. Because when I first started out in the social services, right, like I had a lot of judgments about parents, about what they should or should not be doing. But then once I became a mom, then I realized that whatever that I advocated was not so easy to do. As in, it's hard because we don't come just as mom, right? We have our own selves. We come with our own baggages, our own challenges. If you ask me whether I have changed, I would say so. I hope it's for the better. You have to ask my kids about that or ask my husband about that.
There were really sides of myself, like the ugly sides that I thought like, oh, well, I can't imagine myself becoming a person as such. So those were the reality bites, right? Even if I say it hurts. And I think for myself, because I didn't really have like a career that I needed to put aside, I was, a mother quite young in that sense. So I suppose it was me reflecting that I think I put all my eggs in that one basket. And together with the anxiety and some of the other contacts around myself, so I do identify with sometimes clients that, I get to walk with, or even friends who are parenting, how much you felt that your sense of worth and your everything is all in that one basket. So that I really do resonate. But I don't think that's healthy. I think we all know it. It's a matter of then how do we bring in that awareness and try to bring some shift here.
I'm hearing some common themes between you two that, before you became a mom, you thought that, okay, you'll be this kind of mom or you advocate for certain values, right? What's your biggest struggle when you realize that, reality really does bite?
Wow.
Can I start first?
Yes, please.
Yeah. It was always a very vivid point of, you say, the reality bite. My son was PSLE and he took the results back. And the awakening moment was, I realized I looked at the result and I cried a lot more. I cried so much. But it also became a wake-up call for me. I was like, why am I more disappointed than my boy? Right? And I remember telling him that, Mama can't talk. Like, it's not about you, it's about mom. Just give me a moment. Then that was the first time. I mean, I don't think I studied counseling that far yet, but that was like the first time that I realized that, I put a lot more vested interest into a result that belonged to my son. Yeah, that was my first wake-up call.
I think for me, it was contending with what other people felt that I should be doing. If we go focus on the academic, since Sansan brought this up, is then because everybody will be like, oh, you need to go for tuition, you need to make sure that they do all kinds of like assessment books. But then that's what society or like a lot of the people around me advocate for. So for me to have to stand firm on what I believe in, and at the same time also contend with then my kids not having that kind of conventionally good results was tough.
It's interesting because I feel like for you guys, there is that sense of awareness. You say like there's that wake-up call, that right? Maybe not all parents can come to that realization that readily or easily, right? And it causes a lot of tension with your parental-child relationships.
And if I'm hearing you, then I'm thinking about how can we bring this awareness a little bit on earlier.
Yeah.
It's really about investing into being a little bit more, I think, big word, right? Reflection. We be a bit more reflective. That means being able to pause and check in and review and say, is this where you really want things to go? Looking at the relationship between you and your child. I say allow that to be the feedback. To me, that's the most important feedback because every child is different. It's really allowing that feedback. Are we doing well together or are we like really strangling each other and this relationship is really ringed, right? So that's how much I would say that would be a bit of feedback to bring some awareness.
Perhaps even before you have kids, right? I mean, I would really strongly recommend that you think about what it is that you want for your children. What kind of life do you want your children to have? What is important to you? What are things that maybe you can let go of a little bit more? Right? So much such that when and talk about it with your spouse. Because that's
or your
important.
therapist.
Oh yeah. As in like that is important. Right? Especially when you don't have other people to bounce ideas off. CCC, we do provide such
I want to
services.
qualify that this is not a paid advertisement, but I truly feel that just also want to advocate something about therapy, right? These services, they are trained people to help provide growth. Don't think about it as I have a problem and then I see them. It can be a growth space. It can be an awareness space. Bring the husband, bring the ama,
bring the whole family.
bring the whole
the
clan.
village can
Career
come.
break. Actually, both of you actually took a career break to be a caretaker for your children and your kids, right? How do you manage juggling that demands of caregiving, being a mom, and your self-identity?
It's tough because then you see your other peers advance in their career. Yeah, and you feel like you're kind of stuck at that point. But then I think I was very fortunate to have very good and supportive family members to step in. Like there was really a village that support was very, very helpful, such that I could still go out with friends and things like that. To the point where my friends are like, hey, you have children, right? How come you don't need to look after one? I realized that I much enjoyed the look of my children when I came back.
Suddenly, I miss my children.
Yeah, it's like,
I think I tend towards there's just a different end of things. I was struggling with a lot of guilt because I mentioned my younger child had severe food allergies, and growing up there were a couple of accidents, so it's very nerve-wracking, and that plays into a lot of guilt for me to take that time out to give myself, I think today I learned this word, like the permission to get out there and do something for myself.
Mom guilt and parental burnout is very real. As therapists and as moms, how would you define or recognize that burnout?
for myself, when I started to be very easily agitated, how I navigated that was really getting help.
Okay.
Yeah. Recognizing that, I perhaps I need some time off.
So I think it's important to go back to the village that supports the not only to raise the kid, but the village that supports the mother, right? Your good friends, can they give you some feedback? How are you looking? Did you really start neglecting yourself? And having that space to talk about that guilt so that your friends and families are able to echo it back to you. Because sometimes when you're in it, right, it's like you're going through a tunnel that has no end. It's hard to tell.
It's tough to identify whether is it postpartum blues. It brought about a lot of questions about myself as a mom. Yeah, because I think I had too many idealized ideas about how I should be as a mom. Like, I should connect with my kid in a very positive manner and things like that. But it took me a while. I didn't get diagnosed, but I suspect I might have some at that point of time. And sometimes it's very insidious. You don't know it.
Kind of find myself wanting to shout it out loud, right? That to all moms out there, should you be suspecting or even afraid of this, even if it comes knocking at the door, I want to really normalize it and say it is not something that you can help yourself. If it comes, right? But know that there would be help. You can get out of it. a lot of the mom, because of the guilt, then there's always this sense of putting back onto yourself that I think there is something wrong with me. I wonder if I can say, can we come together as woman and mother and say that no, I don't think it's not always something wrong with me. So don't blame yourself. I think that's go easy, be kind.
I think you guys have shared about instances where your community really rallied to support you. Is there any memorable experience that you can recount and share?
After the birth of my first child, I think I was struggling with breastfeeding.
Okay.
Right. So my kid was, I think my kid really starved for a few days. Simply because we couldn't get her to latch. So it was tough because then it's like, then you have people telling you like, oh, never mind lah. Then you just feed formula and things like that. But I guess I had a very idealized idea of how parenthood should be and what I want to provide for my child. So even my mother-in-law would say like, oh, it's okay lor, then just feed formula lah. But then I think when I explained like, this is something that I really wanted to do, I think what she did was she backed off. She didn't push it.
Okay.
Yeah, which I really appreciated. I think without my mother-in-law like respecting that boundary that I had put out, I think it would have been even harder. Yeah, so I really appreciated.
Right, if I want to join in this breastfeeding thing.
Please do, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's a real struggle that a lot of mothers face, yeah.
Yes, definitely. I wanted so much to breastfeed. It's like you just want to do the perfect thing for your firstborn. Nonetheless, not only my in-laws, but my own mom also had a very different ideas from mine. So like what Hannah said, the swimming up against different values. So that made it very difficult. I think I was sharing with Hannah. I said, well, at the end of my first boy, I felt that I don't think I have breast milk at all, giving up. But then because of my second son, because of how he is severely allergic to cow's milk and goat's milk, I successfully breastfeed him like for 26 months. So have enough people around you to support you, because the journey can get it's tough, right? It is one of those journeys that really you either make you or it breaks you a lot. Yeah.
I suddenly remember, as you were talking about this, I suddenly remember another incident. This one is my mom.
Okay.
So like the way in which that I discipline my kids is that like I will bring them to the room to let them scream it out lah.
Oh.
Yeah. So usually I will do that. And I think one day my dad was very upset. My dad was like, why? Just give her lah, blah, 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 right? Then my mom, this is while I was inside the room, like attending to my kid who was screaming like nobody's business, right? And then I heard my mom from the outside saying like, you let her do lah. She knows what she's doing.
Oh.
Then I'm like, wow, kantong.
That's so nice. I thought the folks were outside also having their own screaming.
No. Yeah, but I was really touched by what my mom said.
Yeah,
that
the
time.
support, right,
Yes,
Hannah?
yes.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Now let's move into the next segment. How dynamics shift with the people around you. So they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? That's what we've been talking about. Maybe in your experiences, is it how do you find your dynamics with your partner changing after stepping into the role of a mother?
I think for myself, it's now the focus is not just on each other. So there was an extended period of time where it was just talking about the kids and trying to survive 3 kids. Like at 1, it's still not too bad, right? 2 to 1, right? At 2, then it's like 2 to 2, and then by 3, you're outnumbered.
Spread very thin.
Right?
Oh man.
So yes. But I think it is still important to have some time in which that both of you both parents can also connect from a husband and wife point.
Okay. Are there any habits or routines or rituals that you guys practice?
I guess for us is we go for supper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the time where we were parenting our younger kids, I recalled it was challenge. So conversations is definitely good to have, but then I'm also thinking that having a conversation doesn't really lend its way to creating the time and space because, he was building his career, and then there were a lot more care needed for my second child. So I think that does create that gap between. And I wonder if this could resonate with other couples as well, that you may have all the conversation you think are good to have, which I think is still very important, but there are still circumstances you need to navigate through.
What I wanted to ask is, in your personal experiences, now that your children have grown up, do you also struggle with, now my son or my daughter has a mind of their own and they want to do something that I may not agree with? Yeah.
Wow, it's a headache. But I can't, when she grows up, I won't be able to make these decisions. I cannot tell you you cannot do this, or threaten you, I'm going to kick you out of the house.
I don't give you pocket money.
But I think it's also then what role do I as a parent play now? Like in the past, maybe I play more of a more authoritative kind of a mom. But now that when my child grows into teenagehood and perhaps even later, into young adulthood, do I play that role as kind of like a mentor, right? Where I can share with you the experiences of what I see might be possible pitfalls or possible benefits to that decision. But then at the end of the day, then the decision is still yours.
I think there's this analogy people use, like flying the kite, right? There comes this season that you're gonna let it go. But if sky is the limit, I'm still asking myself, can I just totally let go, right? Because this kite is meant to soar. What values is important? I think at this juncture, I prioritize empowerment. I want my children to be able to give themselves the space and own their decision. So then I have to all right, how about you think about this, think about that, and when it's unwelcome, their face will show you it's unwelcome really enough.
I'm reminded of this picture, of albatross. Albatross, they are birds that flies for long distances. When they do find land, then they can land and they can rest. When you allow them to go and fly, they go do what they need to do, right? They grow in the way that they grow. They make mistakes the way that they will, right? But then they know that there is always a patch of land that they can come back to.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and the very last one before we move into our next segment, the changing dynamics with friendships in parenthood.
I found myself saying that, in every scene, like from the kindy that you go to the primary school that you go to, are you open to forming new friendships? Everything requires effort. So it's a matter of what you put your money or your time into. Yeah,
I guess even for friends who don't have children, maybe they cannot understand fully, what you are going through and things like that. But are they willing to listen? Are they willing to be present, right? And when they need, can you also be present for them, right? Because friendships, it's a give and take, right? So I guess in that sense, it takes a lot of effort. Sometimes effort and time that you don't really have as a parent. But I guess I think it's important to not just have connections at home, but also outside of the home.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing about motherhood. Of course, there's so much more to talk about motherhood. I believe it's endless. It has been a meaningful conversation, and hopefully mothers who are listening and watching this can feel supported too. Catch the next episode of Motherhood Handbook 101 with Hannah and San. We will be asking them some quick fire questions about motherhood and all the things that you guys have asked as well. So if you have liked this episode, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and follow us at Counseling and Care Center on Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. Thank you, and once again, Reality Bites!